Good evening, everybody. How the devil are we? It's a big weekend. It's what we've been waiting for. Maybe not in the circumstances that it's presenting itself with, but will Brendan Rodgers win his first game of the season at the 8th attempt? Or is he drinking in the last chance saloon? Will Steve Cooper's men finally click? It's the first Foxes Forest derby in the top flight since the 16th of May, 1999. And just for a few facts to get you going, 32 years, 153 days, 4 hours, 1 minute and 35 seconds since Nottingham Forest last won a trophy. And that was the League Cup, where they beat Oldham Athletic. Yes. Remember that? Some things you got to cling on to, haven't you, Forest fans? This is Leicester LTIDtv. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. We are previewing the first, as I say, East Midlands top flight derby between Forest and Leicester since 1999. Q Prince. You couldn't afford him.
You are watching and listening to Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and your favourite podcasts. Your host.
Right, Chris.
I am feeling nervous as hell. I'm prepared for the game. I've actually moved my sofa 3 foot forward so I can get behind it. So it's going to be one of those. I haven't been behind the sofa since the Daleks on Doctor Who when I was growing up. Well, there was the time with my ex-wife, but we won't go into that. Welcome along. It's Leicester Till I Die TV. Thank you for joining us. If you're Nottingham Forest fans, welcome along. You are more than welcome. If you are new, do what it says there. Give us a subscribe. It's not just Leicester content we do. We do quizzes. We do a lot of things we can get Forest fans involved in. Mudslinging, banter. Yeah. And we are all over the place. We are. If you look for us on social media, you'll find us. Right?
Watch us on YouTube. Listen on your favourite podcast platform, or ask your smart speaker to play the podcast Leicester Till I Die. Broadcasting live worldwide.
Indeed. And if you are listening on your favourite podcast, thank you for lending me your ears. Well, yeah. I'm going to say good evening. There's a couple of people who commented already. Please feel free to comment. There's no charge. Leicester fan, good evening. I liked as soon as I saw the stream. And Natsu, times 05. On Twitch. We are on Twitch as well. LTID TV. LTID TV. That's where you'll find us on Twitch. You are most welcome, Natsu. Don't know if we've interchanged before. If you want to follow me on Twitch, I follow straight back. So please do. So we are looking at probably Leicester's most important game in many a year. I mean, we joke about when Forest last won a trophy. I think they're going to be very hard to banter each other when they are literally one place and 3 points above us. But as give credit where credit is due to Forest, They have won a game this season, which is more than we have. Why is Roger still there? That is the question I have. It's the question that I was asking to Owen Palmer-Atkin from BBC Radio Leicester and Jordan Blackwell from the Leicester Mercury and Leicestershire Live. There's 2 shows. Go on to Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube, and you will find them both under the latest shows banner. So get us there. Albrighton, KDH and Vardy are key on Monday, says Facebook user. Not sure who you are, but welcome along. Must start as they truly know what the game means. I've got to be totally honest with you, Facebook user. Everybody should know what the game means. If there is a Leicester player out there that does not know what this game means after the debacle of the FA Cup last season, then they all... Well, we should sell them all. We can't, obviously. But my God, if they don't know what this game means, I mean, it's at Filbert Street. Filbert Street, oh my God, I'm going back to when we last played them. It's at Leicester, at the KP. It's the league. It's the first time in 22, 23 seasons since we last played them in the top flight. There's so much riding on this. It's been nicknamed El Sacchio. Whether that's going too far or not, I don't know. It was also sort of kind of given to the Villa game as well. I can't believe that Steve Cooper is in trouble with his owner. I know the owner also owns a Greek club, and having appointed a manager in the summer, he's already been sacked. But that I don't know how much you can compare the two teams. We'll ask David, who's coming in, the Nottingham Forest fan, along with Craig later. But I never thought. I'm not going to lie. There's no point in lying. I'm not with my wife anymore. I never thought we would be looking at that when we next played them. When we play them next. Forest in 19th. 1 win, 1 draw. Leicester, bottom of the league. Bottom of the league, no wins in 8th. The worst start by a Premier League club since the Premier League was formed. Thanks for that extra record, Brendan. And I know obviously Brendan isn't watching this, but if you are, good evening, Brendan. Why are you still here? Why are you still here? Look, we've gone over this so many times. Brendan, I just want to say 2 words of advice to you. Fuck off. There you go. Anyway, got that out of my system. There we are. The table is not looking so good. David's in. Good evening, David. Hello there, Chris. I'm going out on a limb to say it will be our most aggressive game so far, if not only to pay them back for the FA Cup. Well, they should. And as the Facebook user said before, do they, do the players know what this means, apart from sort of obviously the local lads and those that have been there a while? But yes, they should after that FA Cup, because if they don't, then they're blind. That's all I can say. Mind you, the way the Leicester players have been playing this season, they are blind. Terry, good evening all. Hope all is good. It is, I'm sure. So let's go. Let's do the stats, shall we? We don't make particularly good reading, I'm not going to lie, but there we go. Those are the stats. So this is the recent team form, and I do believe they actually include the Stockport game. I mean, how sad is that we have to include the Stockport game, a 4th tier team that we couldn't beat in 90 minutes and had to rely on penalties. We've got to include that, so we've got a little bit of green on the board. That is what Brendan has taken us down to. I don't know what Top is doing. I mean, Top's over in Belgium. They've had a good start, OH Leuven, our sister club. Maybe he wants to see one of his teams win, because he isn't going to see it probably here. And he hasn't seen it here, let's be honest with you, for I do not know how long. But, it's not looking good for either of those 2 clubs. 10 goals we've scored in the last games, 22 conceded, 6 goals scored, 17 conceded for Nottingham Forest. Do you know what that means? It's going to be 0-0. Or I can see this being 5. Oops, hang on a second. Let me get rid of that. Sorry. I can't multitask. I never could. True Red's in. Big up, mate. How the devil are you? Welcome along, sir. And Terry is in. Evening all. Hope all is good. Who would you start, Chris? Well, I'll tell you what. We're going to do that at the end. We're going to be doing the... when Craig joins us at the end and we've let Dave go, we're going to be picking our Leicester team. So it will be interesting to see. Well, we've never yet got one that Brendan's agreed with, have we? Let's be honest with you. We should be so lucky that he'd ever do that. Let me just honestly, this week I'll be glad when it's over. It will end just by us losing to Forest. That's the only way it can finish. It is. There's no other way. Anyway, these are the actual results then. So this is done by BT. So this is based just on the league. As you can see there, Leicester. Not looking good, is it? I mean, Southampton. And the one thing that I will guarantee on Monday is there will be no dogs in the stadium because neither team can hold on to leads. Oh, come on. No. I'm trying.
No. No.
Please forgive me. I know it was bad. I know. I mean, and I guess within there, Chelsea, Arsenal that aren't in there, Man United, Spurs, they're all teams you'd probably expect to lose to, even if we're having a normal season. But 5-2 to Brighton, 2-1 to Southampton when we've got 10 players in the squad that beat them 9-0 all those years ago. I mean, it is embarrassing. It is embarrassing. If you have a look at that, that is when we concede more goals. And the thing is, I am looking at that and I'm saying, well, look, Brendan, I can get this information off the internet. What are you guys doing? We concede more goals for Leicester. You can see there in the 60th to 75 minutes and the 75th to 90. So basically, the last quarter of the game, we are conceding goals. So what? Now, the problem I've got with that, the problem I have with that is after Brendan will have made his substitutions. Now, don't be silly. Don't be silly. I know he won't have made 5, but after he's made his substitutions, you can see there that we are conceding the goals. So he is actually making us worse with his substitutions. Why? Why are you still here, Brendan? Why? And here's the tail of the tape. This is what we've been doing this season. So, just to quickly run through here. Ball possession, 84 to us. So it's a hell of a lot more. Well, it's double, really, with what Forest had. But then we know when we won the league, before everybody says it, yes, possession doesn't win you games. But if you haven't got the ball, you're not going to win the game. So it's a bit of one of those that you can quote either way. Attacks, we've had more, 771 to 608 for Forest. And again, if you ask me what do the class as attacks, I've no idea. Offside's pretty much equal on that. Shots on target, we've had 28. 28 in 7 games. That's like 3 a game. No wonder we're bottom of the league. And can we put a picture up in the changing room, in the home changing room tomorrow, with a picture of the fucking net so that the players can know what they're actually shooting at? On target 19 for Forest. I mean, the funny thing is I could be talking about either team here, couldn't I? Off target 80. What is that? I can't see that. 55. 55. Yeah, it's that white thing with nets in, guys. Corners. Problem is, Forest fan told me the other day they're actually good at scoring from corners. We know what we're like, but the set piece coach has had 3 weeks. Will he make a difference? 20 yellow cards for Forest. My God, they like to go through you, don't they? I bet they will as well. The average player rating, well, as good as equal on there. So that's the tail of the tape. Head to head. Now, I'm to be honest with you, this is one I do tend to take with a pinch of salt because this is off the Premier League website, and of course, we haven't played in the Premier League each other since, as I've said a few times, the 16th of May, 1999. What were you doing back then? I was just leaving school, and if you believe that, you'll believe anything. But again, we've won 1 to Forest 3, 2 draws. We've only won 1 at home, but they've only won 1 away. This is so going to be 0-0, isn't it? It's got it written all over on that. And those are the tail of the stats that we've got. So let's just catch up with some comments. Going back quite a way here. I did say this before. Yeah, we will be picking a team at the end. Facebook user Harmon's in. Good evening, Harmon. How the devil are you? Do you think Topper sacked Brendan because most players are still behind? Or do you think will he sack Brendan? Most players are behind him. I don't know. It depends which news outlet you read, because one of them says, yes, they are. Madison's coming out. They're making these big things, but they're not going to come out on camera and say, look, we don't like him. But we do know Leicester have got a history of the players revolting, haven't they? I saw that Highfield. Paul Merson says we will trash the trees. And I thought, he's going to go. He's predicting another 9-0. And then I realised 2 things. When he said trash, he said 3-0. Now, to me, 3-0 is not a trashing. Also, let's be honest with you, it's Paul Merson. How many predictions does he get right? And I've just seen Dave, the Forest fan's reaction to that in the green room. And I think he was really? Harmon, sorry, not sacked. Yeah, exactly. Not sacked. Do you think Topper's not sacked Brendan because most players are behind him? I really, I have a lot of faith in Top. I have no faith at all in Brendan at the moment. He's got it right. He got rid of Puel, but when we got rid of Puel, we were better than this. When we got rid of Ranieri, we were better than this. So why have we still got this clown in charge? According to reports, Iverson going to be getting a start. Will be interesting again. You guys all set me off, Terry. Brendan Rodgers is supposed to be this great man manager. I'm not being honest with you. He couldn't manage a piss up in the brewery. Because if he's this great man manager, why is he coming out in the press and, might have made a mistake about Ward? Dave's he's laughing away at my pain here, I think, is what he's doing. Just remember, only one place above us. But yeah, he's supposed to be this great man manager, and then it comes out and says, these players have got to find another club. And then he's stuck with them because they haven't. A bit awkward there. How does it make Ward feel? And I don't think Ward's been particularly that bad, isn't he? Yeah, he's been at fault for a couple of goals, but then Schmeichel isn't doing brilliantly at Nice, and Everson had 1 game in the League Cup, as I said, fourth tier Stockport, and he made some horrendous howlers in the pre-season. But people, selective memory. Harmon does it again. Is this at the start of the season or the end of the BR era? Hopefully, Facebook use. I don't know if that's Jason or not. Hopefully, it's the latter. As Terry says, please like and subscribe. David, I'd say that Brendan has a little credit left in the bank. Why? Why, David? What credit has he got? Maybe he's on a banker's bonus. and I didn't pronounce that the correct way. I've got to be honest with you. But what credit has he got left? Yes, he's won the FA Cup. In fairness, by a toenail of a VAR decision. Yes, he won the Charity Shield by a 89th minute penalty. Okay, he's won it. Claudio Ranieri won the Premier League, for God's sake, over 38 games. That is the bigger credit to have. And yet he was sacked when we were 17th. We weren't even bottom. So, I don't know what this credit that he's got is. It's the here and now, not past glories. Totally agree, Terry. Totally agree. David says, look at this way. If we lose on Monday, he will have to go. We win and improve performances and gain points to move up the table. I'm behind Brendan and want him to stay. It's results based. One swallow doesn't make a summer. That's what I always used to tell the missus. And you know what? One win does not make the season. Do you think if Brendan didn't say anything in public about Ward and instead replaced him for this game, that Ward wouldn't still lose confidence anyway? What you were sold behind the scenes, which is come in, sit down, look, you've had a bad start. I'm going to take you out of the firing line for maybe one game, maybe two, just to gain your confidence back. Just going to take you away because maybe the fans are getting onto you as well. So we'll just take you out the firing line, put you on the subs bench. That is one thing. Oh, I'm opening the morning paper. It says here that my manager, I'm Danny Ward, my manager saying that he's made the wrong decision in making me number one. Fan-bloody-tastic. I feel great now. I'll go off and have me full English and have a shit. I know. True Red, I never want my team to win. I just want Brendan. I'm sorry, I never want my team to win. I've never liked to see my team win this season. I never want my team to lose, and I would certainly not want the opposition to win to sack a manager. But I hope he goes. I really do. Anyway, those are the stats. We're up to date with the comments. Keep getting your comments in. I'm sure they'll get a few more now that we are going to welcome our guests in. He's back. We only spoke last night. He can't keep away. He just loves coming on here so much. And he's gonna hate me because I forgot to remind him to pick a team for later, but I'm sure he can do that. He doesn't need time to get it together, do you, Craig?
Of course not. Of course not. I'll do what Brendan does and just wing it.
Well, you can put all the names in a hat and just pull one out. If Ward's up front, who's going to notice?
No problem. I'm sure we can do that, Chris, between us.
I'm sure we can. Now, I have heard that some Nottingham Forest fans are turning on Steve Cooper, which I find strange because, yes, I'm so glad they're down there with us. It makes this show a little bit easier. But surely it's too soon for him to go. Is it not, Dave?
It is too soon, Chris. Craig, how are you, lads? All right?
How are you doing?
Been better, but good evening. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure, lads. Absolutely my pleasure. Yeah, I'm kind of like apprehensive like you two lads are. You've got issues and we've got issues, As regards Steve Cooper, I would say, I saw the comment previously about Brendan having some credit in the bank. I think Steve's got a bit more credit in the bank at the moment. But it's a crucial game for you, and it's a crucial game for us, and it's a crucial game for two managers, So we will see what transpires on Monday night.
I was going to say, Chris, it comes down to how long does credit last?
Not long if you look at Claudio Ranieri.
No, I'm going to say that it's... None of us are party to anything that's going on behind the scenes. So we don't know if all the players are behind him. We don't know if he's fallen out with some. We would imagine he's fallen out with some because he tends to do that. I went to the Spurs game, as you know, and
Talk about it. I've always been told it's good to talk about these things.
It didn't look like a team that wasn't playing for him. Let me put it that way.
And I agree, that first half performance, and it wasn't the 6-2. I mean, yes, it was a 6-2, obviously, but there's two wonderful Son goals in there that, nobody could have saved. But that's not the game I'm particularly worried about. It was the Brighton, it was the Southampton, it was
all I was alluding to, Chris, was the fact of the talk of whether he's lost the players. Whether they're being set up right, whether their lack of confidence, that's another thing. Whether he's lost the players, I think you see that on the pitch. And it didn't look like they weren't playing for him. So that's all I was alluding to there.
Yeah, for me, that first half from Leicester was really encouraging. I mean, they played some really, really good football, and they probably have the one midfielder in the country at the moment that unifies everybody. He should be in. He scored one beautiful goal and he ran the game. And then, to me, indeed, he doesn't get caught on the ball by Betancourt, and it might have been a different game. So
that's it. I mean, you've got yourself back into the game. The old problems are still there, so let's not, say that they're not. But yeah, we'd got ourselves back into the game. We'd gone in at 2-2, and then we did exactly what we did against Brighton. We made a silly mistake, gave away the next goal, and we couldn't come back from it.
Do you think? I mean, for me, like I say, had we lost those games, because we played 4 of the so-called Big Six already in our first 7 games, so it was a difficult start. But that, we say, look at how the season's finishing. There's always sort of things you can say. But had we won those other games, or come away with a few points, and we maybe sat in 14th, 15th, I think the fans wouldn't be like we are. It's the fact that, like I've said there, look at when we concede our goals. Let me just bring this back up, because I know Craig wasn't in. I'm not sure whether you were in at this point, Dave. This is when we score and concede our goals. Leicester City concede our goals after 75 minutes. So basically, by then, Brendan's made probably 3 subs, in fairness, because we know the other 2, he doesn't understand we get 5 subs at the moment. So, I mean, he's actually making us worse with his substitutions, Craig.
Yeah, sad thing is, I don't think that's a new thing. I think he kind of... There's a lot of issues going on, isn't there, clearly? And he's not a manager who you exude confidence in when we're in the lead in a game, because he has this tendency, rather than go and get the next, go and get the second, go and get a third, go and get a fourth, finish a game off, it's almost like he doesn't trust the players, so he goes defensive and he makes changes. And what it happens to do is just draw the opposition on. You're basically saying, have the ball, see if you can do something. And inevitably they do, and we concede. So, but these are all things that, more confident manager, more confident players. And I don't think you can ever underestimate how much confidence plays in any player at any level. Maguire was a really good player for us. Let's not pretend he's gone into a cauldron where every mistake is analysed to death alongside his price tag, and his confidence goes, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. And I think that's what we're seeing. Players stop showing for the ball, or as soon as they get it, they don't want an extra touch. They want to get rid of it, and it's all these things. And there were signs against Spurs that we were on the front foot. I think we had more of the play in the first half. We looked like the team that were going to break them down. And then again, as soon as anything goes against you, it's like in life, if people are saying lots of nice things, but if you're not a confident person, people are saying lots of nice things about you. It only takes one to say something negative, and it brings everything else down. And I think that's where Leicester are at the moment. And that's why it's such an important game, because you have to change something.
And the worrying thing there, though, Dave, is that when we are conceding goals at the end, that's your second best time to be scoring them.
Yeah,
and just before the break as well.
Yeah, well,
did you not like the start of halves? You just like to sort of go out with a bang.
We're a strange bunch as well, because you take, I mean, we were sort of tootling along quite nicely, despite we played well against Tottenham. We came out of that with some positivity, even though Tottenham were better than us, and enjoyed our wanting to have a go at them because they soaked it up and they hit us on the counter. I mean, basically the first 5-6 minutes of that match was all us. Harry Kane, one touch, 1-0 down, which is like welcome to the Premier League. And then we went to City, who beat us 6-0, and were incredible. They played walking football and were 20 or 25 minutes ahead of Forest. Forest, bless them, they tried hard. They ran their bottoms off, and nobody could accuse Forest of like not giving their all. But Manchester City are from a different galaxy. Yeah. In fact, Manchester City are from a different galaxy to everybody else in this league, right? That's my view.
Yeah.
The issue then, getting those two big guns out the way, if you like, is right. Here come Bournemouth and here come Fulham. Right. So there's a kind of a complacency, and I think more so amongst the fans than amongst the team, because Steve Cooper is so grounded, never gets ahead of himself. It's only the next game that matters. And I don't think the players could be accused of complacency, because that's not how they are. But I think some of the supporters thought, well, it's only Bournemouth, it's only Fulham. Shut Mitrovic up, we've got the game won. And actually, we started both games pretty well. We were 2 up against Bournemouth, going along quite nicely. We were 1 up against Fulham. But unfortunately, these teams are more settled and have an actual identity, which is what Forest are searching for. I mean, the bottom line, the fundamental thing, lads, and I've been on a number of these things with different clubs and different people who are not Forest supporters. And what everybody has to realise, they have to ignore the claptrap coming out of TalkSport about Forest being vain and just signing 22, 23 because they can. That is not the truth. The truth is they've had to sign 22 or 23 because 22 or 23 have left. So 5 were loans who had to go back. 3 or 4, Graben, Figueiredo and some others at the ends of contract. And then the rest, if we're being harsh, not good enough for the Premier League. So Forest have had to go and bring these in, which therefore makes Steve Cooper's job the most difficult of all the 20 managers in this league, because he doesn't know his best 11 yet. I mean, we've had Forest podcasts where we've all been asked to pick our 11, and you could have 10 Forest lads on, lassies, whatever, and they pick 10 different 11s. And Steve Cooper would come on and he'd be the 11th person, and he'd pick an 11 that was different from everybody else. Yeah. Forest are like a jigsaw where the pieces are in the box, but you don't know where they fit. I think my view of the two teams going into Monday night, in terms of a bigger picture and a context, I feel that Leicester City, and this is no disrespect to Leicester City, because back in 2016, despite me being a Forest fan, I never had more pleasure from a team winning the league.
Oh, I'm going to clip that. That is getting clipped.
Because I hate this hegemony that the Big Six have got, and Leicester knackered that, and it was brilliant, and I loved it. And when they won the FA Cup as well. But I just feel Leicester are coming to the end. And again, I don't mean to insult or offend any Leicester City supporters. I just feel Leicester City are coming to the end of like their golden age, if you like. It's just naturally, gradually. Kasper Schmeichel goes, Jamie's coming towards the end. A lot of that team has come and gone. Whereas Forest, they're like, Leicester have been in the school for a long, long time. Forest are the new kids. They're the year 7s trying to learn what it's like to be in this big school. And at the same time as trying to learn how to play in this incredibly difficult league, they're trying to find out who they are.
Yeah.
So the two teams, I think the two teams are at different stages of development. I don't know what you guys think.
It's a good point, Craig. And, we know that this revamp was supposed to happen this summer or the start of it. And for reasons that we've rung out many other shows, we know why not. Two things I want to pick up on what Dave said and throw them at you if I can do, Craig. First of all, I suppose if we were like a jigsaw, we wouldn't have the four corners, would we? We have any good with corners. Come on. You've got to give me credit for picking that one out the net. And second, I mean, the argument could be, I'm so pleased with myself.
You are, aren't you?
I am.
It's good at that, Chris.
Well, thank you. I'll say that. I'll use that one again. What Dave said there, that he hasn't got, that we should have, because we haven't made the signings, a settled team. You know, all the players know each other. And when I read in the paper today that Soyuncu cannot get in our team that sits at the bottom of the Premier League, not having won a game, conceded 20-odd goals, and we're thinking about putting a midfielder in there again in Mendy, and yet Inter Milan are looking at him, and he could be playing in the Champions League in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think there's two different things there. One, I read the same article. It didn't mention Mendy at all playing in the back five or back four. That article said that maybe Mendy should be playing instead of Ndidi.
Okay. That shows me up for not having read the actual article, doesn't it?
That's what it does. I mean, you know what it is. It's Leicester Mercury. It's the same as any local rag at the moment. It's all clickbait stuff. But I remember you mentioning that last night, and I went and read the article, and that's what it's about. It's about saying maybe Mendy, who is more protective and better on the ball at the moment, should be playing there instead of Ndidi, so the back four isn't as exposed. The Soyuncu bit is clearly, again, one of those players that he's fallen out with. And you go all the way back to that Liverpool documentary when he was there. He was almost preempting the fact that he was going to fall out with someone at some point by getting them all to put names in an envelope who was going to let them down at some point in the season. And I think it's what this is showing up is there's some serious character flaws with Brendan. What I won't listen to, though, is the two arguments being thrown the same way. So we're saying that Brendan isn't doing a very good job with these players. Fact. But on the other hand, we're saying that we didn't get the revamp. Now, Brendan came out and clearly noticed that this team, like football clubs, and you're right there, about it's cyclical, that this cycle of this team was coming to an end and needed refreshing. So if you're being positive and you're sitting on the, give Brendan a bit more time. He noticed that, and he came out and said this team needs refreshing. Now he's not been allowed to do that, so he's stuck with the players that he almost hung out to dry and said these players are not good, and they're coming to the end of the cycle. So he's
such a good man manager.
Pardon?
He's such a good man manager, isn't he?
Well, no, but this is what I've said. That it's showing up his character flaws here. He's clearly a decent manager, or as I will say, and I've said this all the way along, I think he's a very good coach. I don't think he's a particularly good manager. Yeah. And there is a big difference in football, and I think that's what it's showing up now at the moment, that he's still got the players. And I think that's why, I mean, tomorrow, I think we all know this game on Monday is a much bigger game for Leicester than it is for Forest. And that's no disrespect, because I think Cooper, as you say, you're still finding your feet. You can clearly, see there's something there because you're getting ahead in games. And, if you weren't, that would be a problem. If you were just conceding, but you're not. You're getting yourself ahead. It's just learning to see out a game. And Cooper's learning at this level as well.
Yeah, absolutely great. Absolutely spot on, mate. My take on Monday night is that which of the two managers is more desperate? And I don't think it's us. I don't think Steve Cooper's job rests on Monday night, but I have a sense that Brendan's might. Where I am with Steve is Steve's got enormous credit in the bank. The people who've been calling for his head, by the vast majority of extremely knowledgeable and thoughtful and considerate Nottingham Forest fans, is that what, 40 feet on the trot? You chucking the baby out of the bathwater after 40 feet? No way. Don't be so short-termist. Don't be, some people seem to want short-term gratification. Nottingham Forest is a project. Hell, it took us 23 years to get back. What's another little bit of patience to go on top of it? So I think that those people who've been calling for Cooper's Head, by and large, have been shouted down. They are a tiny minority. Because the way we look at it as a fan base and as a Forest family, because that's what we are, this guy took us somewhere that most of us never thought we'd ever get to again. I mean, exactly a year ago to the day, his first away game, we went to Barnsley, right? We were a goal down after an hour. He took a defender off, which Chris Hughton previously had never done, because Chris Hughton was the most conservative, a lovely man, don't get me wrong, but the most conservative, sort of staid, cautious character. And in that game at Barnsley, Steve took a defender off Tobias Figueiredo and he put Lewis Grabban on. We were level within a minute, won 3-1. And that was a kind of a launch pad. 4 days later, we went to Birmingham, won 3-0. And then the momentum gathered. But even because we've been conditioned for 23 years to underachievement, failure, 4-1 at home to Stoke when we should have got in the playoffs and mucked it up, right, which everybody remembers, right? We've been conditioned, and we're still like that, not to assume anything. So when we got to the playoffs, Sheffield United, that's tough. Maybe we'll get there. There were some gung-ho people. Even then at Huddersfield. So we're in the same boat now in that we're taking it steady. But none of us could see. I mean, we were bottom a year ago, the league below. Yeah. I mean, if you look at it, I said on a podcast the other night, let's look at it this way. This time last year, we were bottom of that one. This time, a year later, we're not bottom of this one. Okay, we're not in a great situation. But I think there's more wriggle room for Steve Cooper. Where I would say about Steve Cooper is if we get to 90 minutes on November the 12th against Crystal Palace at home, and we've got nothing from, I mean, our next bunch of games are you lot Monday night, just down the road, Villa at home, Wolves away, Brighton away, Liverpool at home on a Saturday dinner time, forget that. Arsenal away on a Sunday, not going to happen. And then we've got Brentford and Palace at home. So if you take the Arsenal and Liverpool games out, because nobody in their right mind would imagine Forest beating either of them. But if we don't get anything from these other games, then the spotlight that's on Brendan on Monday night then switches to Steve, because I think your owner has a little bit more restraint than our owner does. Our owner, Mr. Marinakis, is a little bit more mercurial. Not to Watford levels, not to ridiculous Watford levels where they change a manager every time he goes to the toilet. I just think that Mr. Marinakis had Corberan at our sister club, Olympiacos, 6 weeks, great CV from Huddersfield, out the door. Now, again, this is this idea of credit, Craig. Credit will mean nothing to Mr. Marinakis, who's incredibly ambitious. He doesn't want Forest to come up and be hanging on by the skin of their teeth at the end. I would take 17th on goal difference right now. I'd bite your head off for it. But Mr. Marinakis wants more than that. And I think if it gets to that Palace game and Forest are either, haven't picked any points up and worse, are adrift, then I think he will act. But at the moment, Steve is pretty safe.
Would you say, Craig? Would you say the same for Leicester though? Because we've got a big run of easy. We're not. And no disrespect to the other teams, but as Forest look at this game on Monday and think like, wait, we've got a good chance in this one. The next 5 games are winnable. Should we not have made, or should Top not have made that decision to maybe refresh things before then? Because if we don't get much from those next 5 games, that gap is going to be bigger than London Bridge.
It is, but I think if there weren't any signs of us being able to get a result, if there's been pockets of games where we played really well, and I think that's a disappointment. And he's flying in; he'll know what's going on behind the scenes. What I was going to say is, with fans, it shows you how ridiculous fans are. If we, you're second from bottom, we're bottom. Both managers under pressure to different extents. If you go and win the next 3, we lose the next 3. There'll be Leicester fans asking for Steve Cooper to be our manager. That's how
he's in the betting. He's in the betting.
Yeah.
Brighton wanted him. He was on Brighton. He was second favourite behind. I can't remember now, but and then obviously Brighton being Brighton, they plucked De Zerbi out of nowhere. But I tell you what I would say about Monday night, lads. If I'm going to be like and it's an onerous position being the spokesperson for like however many thousands of trickies, because we don't all think the same, and that's the beauty, that's the democracy, and that's the diversity of thought, which is great for football and great for Forest, great for Leicester. But if you ask most of them, and I'm going to be a little bit facetious, all the Forest fans are like, whew, thank God Leicester haven't replaced Brendan before this game, because if we'd have gone into the King Power on Monday night and you lot had got not Brendan, we'd be thinking, crikey, we're in for a bounce. I mean, we got it. I tell you what conditions is to that thought. Bournemouth turned up, having got rid of Misery Guts, and they had Gary O'Neill on the bench, unheralded, and Gary O'Neill coached beautifully that day for Bournemouth. Let's give credit. I'm not one of these people who like, I want Forest. I think Forest to win because I love them. I look at it objectively. There are always 2 teams playing a game of football, right? So where I've been brought up by my father, who was a football man, a scout for Forest. My grandfather was a brilliant footballer locally, and they brought me up to see 2 teams, right? But Bournemouth got a bounce by not having Scott Parker, right? And so everybody was like, then we get through Bournemouth and Fulham somehow, and obviously a little bit scathed. And then you look at the next one, and obviously the next one's a bit of a local bragging rights job, and you think we're all like, please don't replace Brendan. So and actually, I'll tell you what's a good point about Brendan, and you made a really good point, Craig, about Brendan. He seems to have got to a certain point with all of his clubs where never the twain shall meet. It seems to me the only club that he didn't do that was Celtic, but then Celtic are only playing like Oadby Town and Hinckley United and teams like that in their league. So there's no real pressure on managing Celtic. Apart from all you have to do at Celtic is win 4 matches basically. Yeah. So I don't think he fell out with Celtic, but it seems that he's getting that way. But then I go back to that first half against Tottenham, and I was watching it because thinking I want to have a look what these are like before we go there. And I thought first half Leicester were really, really good. Yeah. And Maddison. James Maddison, if James Maddison's got one on him on Monday night, and I really like the way he fronted up after the game. He spoke really, really well. He came across, if I was a Leicester fan, I'd have been really proud of him. He came and faced the cameras and he talked sensibly, and he was a good guy. He represented your club really, really well. Now, if he gets one on him on Monday night, and you lot, you would, my imagining, if I was a neutral, I'd look at that game and think Leicester are going to come at Forest like a ton of bricks because they are more desperate. And I imagine Forest are going to be put. I think Forest will get put under the cosh for a bit, and it's how we deal with it, So but in Maddison, if you put the 2 teams together and said, right, pick the most talented player from that squad and that squad, I see you pick James Maddison. I just think he to me would be the crucial figure on Monday night in Monday night's game, and how we stop him is vital to us. We have got form in doing it because, and forgive me, I'm going to step back a little bit in history to February, I think it was, and that FA Cup game. I can see you guys blanching at me mentioning that FA Cup game.
I have muted him.
In that game, I mean, Maddison played all right at the City Ground in that 4-1, but Yatesy, who is again persona non grata with the Forest fans, because we're winning. Yatesy, they all like Yatesy. We're losing, it's all Yatesy's fault. But Yatesy did a really good job on him then. I think he irritated Maddison. So we've proved we can do it. But I just think if James Maddison sets his stall out Monday night, it's going to be really hard for us, I think.
Do you remember?
I'm hoping. Well, I'm hoping that Maddison. still thinks he's got a chance of getting in that England squad. You know, because I think any football fan, other than he who shall not be named, otherwise I'll go off on a rant, thinks he should be in that squad. You know, if you can take 12 defenders, you can find a place for Maddison.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that he gets the bit between his teeth and he wants to go out there and show, because he's got everybody behind him at the minute. You know, everybody is sort of rooting for him. And I'm hoping that he decides that now's his opportunity. You know, it's the only game that day. All eyes are going to be looking at this game. Local derby, it's so much on it. It's crying out for somebody to take it by the scruff of the neck. Yeah. And I really hope it's Maddison.
Somebody made the comment earlier.
I hope from an England point of view he does, lads. But from point of view, I'd rather like James to kind of like get to the King Power and find, oh God, I've left my boots at home. You know what I mean? Something like that.
Somebody said in the chat earlier, and I don't know if I can just find it here. Just bear with me, guys. I can't even find it, but about who knows what this match means to people. You know, they said KDH because he's the local lad, Jamie Vardy because he's been here long enough, along with Albrighton, he knows what derbies are like. But Craig, after that game that wasn't, you know, that has been brought up, I don't blame him for doing that.
Sorry, lads.
Surely, we do it with Southampton all the time. But surely, Craig, after that game, if those players do not know what this match means and what it means to the crowd, just go 1-0 down on Monday night, and I think they will feel the full force of the crowd.
They do. That's my worry, you know. And, you know, it almost brings into disrepute people calling themselves supporters for me, because you can take your ire out on the manager after the game. You should be supporting the team, and the team is the people who are on the pitch. And we've seen it, you know, on the really big nights down at the King Power, what a difference a supportive crowd can make. And even if we go 1-0 down, the crowd can make such a difference on the outcome of that game. Park, whatever you think about Rodgers, is your team, and that's what you should be supporting. If you call yourself a supporter, you should support.
I agree with what you're saying, but it's hard to cheer when you're looking at Dross on the pitch. You know, we go back to the 12 years.
Chris,
yes, you can support the team, and I'm not saying booing. Wait until the end of the game. Do not do that during the game. But you've got to have something there that's going to get you going. You know,
of course
it's if we go 1-0 down, will many fans think we can actually still win this? I know Ralph Huthenall did when we went 1-0 up against them. He sat there and thought we can still win this and made the substitutions obviously that won in the game. But that's the problem, you know. Is there enough there? Yes, we played well against Spurs in the first half, and in fairness, a lot of Spurs fans have said they were worried at half time because we were so on top. But it's I don't care. Tomorrow, if Jamie Vardy breaks wind and farts the ball over the line, I don't care. I don't care what the performance is like. I want a 1-0 win. I don't want to be sat here Monday night after the game and say, well, do you know, we played well for 30 minutes in that first half and we still fucking lost 3-0. No, I'm sorry, you know. And I get what you're saying, but we've got to see something. Yeah.
Think that actually, lads, I think that applies to both teams. I mean, I get self-righteous and a bit pompous and think, well, when Forest, it's a bit like a family. When my family's in the shit and it's having a really bad time, that's when I love them more. And when Nottingham Forest are getting a good hiding and it's really going bad, that's when I love them more. I remember a saying, it's easy in life to smile when the world rolls along like a song, but a man's worthwhile if he can smile when everything's going effing wrong, right? And my view is that...
you might bass it.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, mate. We set a precedent last year in one game in particular, and I keep fetching it up to sort of say to supporters, this is what we need. This is where you can be a 12th man. In the semi-final second leg against Sheffield United, having been brilliant at Bramall Lane in the first game, and you know, should have like finished the tie off then. We were a goal up. Brennan scored to make it 1-0, so we're 3-1 up on aggregate. Second half, so from minute 46 to minute 96 or whatever, Sheffield United were brilliant. by far the better team. And Forest were hanging on, and Forest would not have got to extra time in that great match if there'd not been 45 minutes of Forest magic on off the pitch, non-stop, loud as anything. And the worse Forest got, the louder it got. And so the Forest fans have almost set a standard, right, where I can turn around and say, well, you were prepared to do it then against Sheffield United when the chips were down. Will you do
it? Away in that game?
Say again, mate?
Were you at home or away in that game?
We were at home, mate. And away from home, when we come on Monday night, our 3,000 or whatever, they'll sing their hearts out.
I was going to say, because if you're away, then you do tend to get the hardcore support.
Away from home is not a problem. But at the city ground, against
Bournemouth, I just want to come back to Craig on our point when we're talking about performances. If this was Puel in this position now, Craig, would you still be sat there? Not necessarily defending him, but saying, "Oh, give him more time. Look at the performance."
No, I've not said look at the performance. What I've said is the fans need to realise that they can play a part in that result on that night.
That's my point.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying if we play well but we get beat, that's okay. Because I think if we play well and we get beat, it'll be gone. I think it's a result. What I'm saying is, if we go a goal down for whatever reason, if the fans then think that getting on the players and the manager's back is going to help it, then it's just beyond me. I don't understand it.
Let's say we go out there and we're lethargic and we're at home, but we're letting Forest come all over us and at us. The crowd aren't going to necessarily be getting up. They might do for a few minutes and then they go, here we go again. If they see the players putting the performance in, then I can see them getting behind them. But
of course,
I get putting the performance in.
It is. I get that, but you've also got to realise that, as you said earlier, it's easy to be a loud cheering fan when all the results are going right. This is the time when you realise that you can affect a game. You talked about Forest having the 12th man in that semi-final. I mean, luckily they had the 12th man in the final as well with the VAR. But let's not go into that.
You leave John Moss alone, Craig. He's a very good friend of ours.
Yeah, he hates us. But no, I'm going to say that you touched on it before, Chris. The performance really is irrelevant. The performance is irrelevant. It is a result, that we need. All I'm saying is that the fans have a role to play.
But losing a game, and I go back to the Great Escape but if you're losing a game and you are, we lost a lot of games that season, but we were putting the performance in. When we lost 5-2 to Arsenal when we won the league, we still put a performance in. And this is what I'm coming back to the players. And this is going to be a big one because, like you say, Dave, when we played that FA Cup match, we'd had the youngsters out in the round before against Watford and we stuffed them 4-1. Say youngsters, but I mean, it was 4 or 5 of the players were from the because of COVID. And then when we came to you, we had all the first teamers back. First time we've played, in how many years, etc., etc., and it looked like they couldn't be arsed.
The caveat, Chris, the caveat to that match I can sort of cheer and sing and say Forest were wonderful. The caveat is that Sunday afternoon at the City Ground on BBC One, there was no Kasper Schmeichel, there was no Johnny Evans, and there wasn't what I consider to be one of the finest strikers of the last 10, 15 years playing. So I think Leicester missed 3 talisman. In that game, we score early. Within a second, Brennan has put one through Danny Ward's legs, and then we're off and running. And then whatever Leicester do from that point on, they're kind of right up against it. If I was Forest, what I would definitely want to do Monday night, first 20. I mean, a goal for us would be wonderful. But just to irritate the King Power faithful, because I think a lot of the mood in that stadium depends on how Leicester City's supporters view Nottingham Forest. Do they regard them as lambs to the slaughter? Well, we'll beat these. A bit like we did against Bournemouth and to a lesser extent against Fulham. and because we'd already made our minds up that Bournemouth and Fulham were out, this is 6 points because we got beat by City and Tottenham. If Forest get Steve Cooper, I reckon, will say to our lads, you know what, be a nuisance for 15, 20 minutes, irritate them, make it seem like you've got the upper hand in the match, and then maybe the house of cards will fall in. Now, the opposite to that is, if I was Brendan, or if I was you two lads, I'd want Brendan to say, this means more to us than it does to them. Balls to them, go at them, and you almost, Leicester have got bugger all to lose because they've lost everything already to this point. So I just think the mood in the stadium is so crucial. And I do think Leicester are the favourites. They're at home. They are the established Premier League team. They're not the ones learning. The problem for Leicester is their context has been fantastic for the last 4 or 5 years. So they set a bar of expectation, which is way different to Forest's, right? If I was Leicester, I was saying, hey, we won the league not long ago. We won the FA Cup. We were Champions League quarter-finalists. We've massively overachieved. If you like, Leicester have done in the last 5 or 6 years what we did under the greatest of them all at the tail end of the 70s, and to a lesser extent at the end of the 80s. You know,
so do you include the single "We've Got the Whole World in Our Hands" in that greatness?
I've got a vinyl copy of that, so yes, it was. I think it was one of Brian's finest moments. I think he was a baritone. I think, I'm not sure. Archie Gale was a soprano. Peter Shilton was a tenor. So yeah, I do. But if you like, so we set a bar that we then struggled to kind of meet over the next, I guess, 23 years. You lads have set a bar now, and it's about maintaining that. Whereas with Forest, I think, you know, I don't think it will be it'll be bad, and there'll be a lot of bad feeling because you don't want to lose any football match. But I don't think a defeat on Monday night for us will be catastrophic. I still think that Forest have.
I think you agree. You're too new for it to sort of.
I think we have mitigated circumstances, lads. That's what I think.
Yeah.
But Leicester.
Craig, Brendan's got to be sat there, hasn't he? And, you know, taking the point that Dave said, he's going to be sat there and going, right, whatever we do not give away an early goal. We do not let them get on top. And then the Forest will be sat there going, if we can get on top, the crowd will turn, and, you know, they're going to. So it is very much, I think, down to Brendan's tactics and formation and choice of players.
It is. And, you know, the one criticism I've levelled at Brendan's team is a lack of character in key moments. You know, sometimes we've shown it, you know, and we've been able to dig in. But very often, you know, when we're up against it, we've not been able to find a solution. And again, that comes with confidence that everybody starts looking around at each other, and we haven't got enough leaders on the pitch. And you wonder whether some of them have lost that little bit of desire. And at this level, 5% drop in performance is deadly, you know.
And do you think, talking about leaders, and, you know, I looked at that Maddison interview, and he does speak so well, and whether it's sort of, you know, put on for the cameras or not, Albrighton being vice captain, and he's already got a kick in the game. Anyway, I think he's not started this season. Yeah. Would Maddison, do you think, Craig, have made the better vice captain because he's maturing so much since he's become a family?
For me, it's an irrelevant title. You know, if you're a professional footballer, you should be a captain on the pitch. You know, I don't care that somebody's actually carrying the armband and gets to flick a coin. That's the start and end of it for me. Yeah. You know, at that level, you should be a captain, caroling your players around you, and it comes naturally. I don't think just sticking an armband on someone makes them a captain or not. Maddison shows, as you say, whether it's for the cameras or not, he looks like he's someone who cares. You know, he looked like it. He looked devastated after that Spurs game. You know, he just sat there in the middle of the pitch on his haunches, and it looks like he cares. And I hope there's a few more like that who realise that they're up against it. And this is, if they don't realise this is a make or break game, then they might as well just, you know, hang the boots up, because you shouldn't need to be told Brendan's team talk should be irrelevant, to be honest. At this level, you should know what's at stake and you should go out there and leave everything on the pitch.
Yeah. And Dave, you've made a lot of signings, like you said. And I understand, why. Just extremely jealous. But
Need a calculator.
who would you say, who should be looking out for, and what are your thoughts on Jesse Lingard joining you? You knew that was coming at some point, didn't you?
You know what, gentlemen? I had a suspicion that name was going to crop up. Jesse, we like Jesse as a character. He's come in. He's a breath of fresh air around the club. He makes people laugh. I think he's good in the dressing room. He's really popular amongst the guys in the squad. I watch a lot of the sort of training ground videos and stuff that he do. He's a real character. He's basically a living embodiment of TikTok, which thankfully my niece has got me into. So I understand that now. So Jesse, and actually with Jesse, I think Jesse's coming from a difficult individual position in that last year Manchester United just basically cast him aside. There was all this meltdown going on at Manchester United. Poor lad never got a chance to play, so I think he was kind of ostracized, and I don't think he was. I think from an actual match fitness point of view, he suffered. I think from a psychological point of view, he suffered. And also, I think the fact that he'd had such an excellent loan spell at West Ham prior to that put some pressure on him. We had a podcast back in July, right? And we were talking about players we would have wanted to sign, Mr. Dorr, and he asked me the question. And there was a couple of other lads on. And I said, you know what? Jesse Lingard's free. Why don't we go and ask him? And I got laughed out of court, right? So I'm going to claim a little bit of credit that Jesse's here now. Jesse hasn't yet had the impact on the game that we would like. But stats that I've looked at say that as regards Forest players are concerned, Jesse has had more telling touches than anybody in the time he's been on the field. So I think Jesse is developing. A lot of them are at this exalted level they've never been at before, so they're learning. The likes of Worrell finding it difficult. Joe's a great lad, but he's finding it difficult. Yatesy finding it difficult. McKenna, who's been our rock for the last 2 years, been outstanding. The silent man, the man you never have to talk about, he's finding it difficult. Brennan. We came up, all the other 19 clubs in the Premier League thought, right, Brennan Johnson, stop him, stop Forest, right? Lad's got to learn. He'll get there. He's a brilliant young player. He's gone away to Wales and played well in the international break. He'll get there, right? But so Jesse's kind of trying to get back to where he was. The others are trying to get to a level they've never been to before. So I think it's different. If you want to look out for somebody, if I was to pick somebody who I think will play on Monday night, I think Morgan Gibbs-White has the potential to be a real star for Nottingham Forest and to catch people's eye. I mean, he's England under-21 international. He was outstanding in his loan spell. He had a loan spell at Swansea, which is where he and Steve got to know each other. And it was curtailed by injury, but he was flying for Swansea. I think Swansea had a brilliant start to the season, mainly based around him. And then at Sheffield United last year, he was absolutely outstanding. We played them 4 times in the end last year. And in every game, Morgan Gibbs-White was the biggest threat to us. In fact, that semi-final second leg, the weird thing was he was by far the best player in the whole City ground that night by a mile. And then he missed the penalty that sent us to Wembley. Yeah. But if you look for a player, if you're a neutral and you want to see a lad with a little box of tricks, Morgan Gibbs-White. So he's still learning because he's never played, okay, he had a few games for the Wolves, but he never seemed particularly happy. I think he was wanting away from there. I mean, I go back to the Fulham game and Morgan, there were a couple of touches early in the second half where had they come off, Forest could have been 2 or 3-0 up, and that 6 minutes of Fulham brilliance, and it was. Fulham was superb for about 5 minutes when they scored their 3 goals. That might actually not have come to count for anything had Morgan's little tricks and flicks come off. So I think he's somebody to look out for.
Talking about the aforementioned Mr. Dorr that you did, he is on the BBC website tonight.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, and he actually says his prediction is that both teams will stay up. So,
I think they. Well, I think they will. I think I did read that article, Chris, and he said that one of them would definitely change managers. It may end up being both. May end up being both of us. I think if I were a betting man, and I'm not, I would say that Brendan is out the seat quicker than Steve. But both of them might be gone if things don't pick up.
Craig, so we're going to be picking our team in a second when we let Dave go. Who's going to be one player that's going to be key for us tomorrow?
It's got to be Maddison. I think it has to be. I mean, he's our talisman. He can bring something out of nothing. He can bring other players in as well. I'm not sure how Brendan's going to play it. I just hope that there's so much in that team that I hope he just sort of unleashes them, winds them up and then just sends them out and they go for it. But yeah, Maddison, it all goes through Madders, I think, and hopefully he'll be able to play in a more central role and get on the ball enough. That's the key. If I was Forest, I'd just be saying, stop the ball getting to him. That would be the team talk for me. If you can stop Maddison getting on the ball, then you've done half the job.
Score predictions there, as you can see.
Can I give you my prediction, lads? And I'm going to give you a flippant prediction. I predicted to somebody last week that the game would end up being Leicester City 5, Nottingham Forest 5, all 10 goals from set pieces.
You could be right. Looking at the stats earlier, you could be right. But then again, we could end up with a 0-0. Going down there, I mean, I've decided that last season I didn't do well in the prediction league, and I stuck by my team, and I came bottom having won it the season before. So I've decided the points in the prediction league are more important for me at the moment. But I've gone for 2-2, and then both of us walk away thinking, well, we're none the wiser.
Can I just say as well? Hey, can I just say as well, Chris? I'm looking at those names there. So Jerry Taggart, Steve Walsh, Steve Lynex, Ian Marshall, Ian Wilson. There's some real good talent there. They're good players, those guys.
We could do with a few of those in the team.
I might be red through and through. I might be proper Garibaldi, proper Tricky Tree.
Yes.
But football is above the love of our club. And to see those names there, really good pros, really good players, all of them. Yeah. So it's in my best regards to those guys. You know what I mean?
I will indeed. Thank you very much. And what I would give to have some of them in the team, like I say. So I've gone 2-2. Craig is well, he's keeping the faith, as they say, and he's gone 3-0 to Leicester. Jerry Taggart's gone 1-1. Walshy, who's having a difficult season because he's taking a leaf out of my book and sticking by the team last season, and he's gone 2-1 to Leicester. Steve Lynex has gone 2-0. But God, I wouldn't read anything into that because he is the worst predictor. Thank God he was a good footballer because he can't predict scores. Has gone 2-0 to Leicester. Ian Marshall, who's leading at the moment, has gone 2-2 as well, as has Ian Wilson. 3-0, Craig. Head or heart?
To be honest, I think it's a bit of both. It's definitely heart, isn't it? Yeah. I just think this is the game. I think the season pretty much hangs on this game one way or another. I think we'll still be fine, but I think if we can get a decent win, it'll build that confidence going into the games that, as we've already said, that are potentially on paper winnable. If not, it'll be the end of Brendan and there'll be a new guy come in and it'll be a fresh start and we can kick on from there. So I think either way, I think this is a pivotal game, and I just think that everything that's on it, I think we're just going to come out and give it everything and get the result we need.
And Dave, give you a voice on the other side. What's your prediction?
I think, based on the immense pressure that Leicester are under in particular, and I think I said before that like them being at home is an advantage, and if they can really galvanise the Blue Army, then it's going to be really, really difficult for Forest. But I just think Forest have slightly less riding on it than Leicester, and Forest, in a way, it's almost like a sort of an end of season game where one team battling for everything. And often you get teams who come with less of a, I'm not saying less of a commitment, but less of an onus. And that team with less of an onus will often just relax and say, tell you what, let's poop their party. You know, let's get under their skin. Let's make them fret. And I think if Forest, you know, Forest will look at, I mean, the one thing that Cooper will do, he'll get them really well prepared as best as he can. Yeah, I know he's still looking for his best 11, but he'll have the 11 that goes onto the field will be well, and they do play for him. There's no anti from any of the lads towards our manager. So that's one thing. But I just think, I do think the first 20, 25 minutes of that game is crucial. If Leicester get a head of steam up, it's going to be really difficult for us. But if Leicester don't, and Leicester sort of start to look around a bit and start to think, blimey, we're not doing great here. And Forest, you know, with a little, hey, we're the new kids on the block exuberance, get into the game, then I think it's very difficult. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Wow, and I would take a point now out of this game. I really would.
Scary thing is, I think I would as well. Dave,
sorry, just a quick one. I think just the one thing is the way that this season's been going for either of us. If either of us are 2-0 up with 15 minutes to go, none of us will be confident.
Craig, I could not agree more, mate. And actually, when we've gone into these leads against Bournemouth and Fulham, well, there's been euphoria around it. I don't know if it's because I'm like a different mindset, you know, because I'm a bit older than everybody else. Like, I'm like, well, hang on a minute. I don't see any chickens hatching here yet. Yeah. I don't see any, you know, stuff being sorted
we
out.
could be 5-0 up. We could be 5-0 up and we'd be saying next goal's crucial.
And then you just hope that Brendan, for the first time in his life probably, actually does the right thing and put a load of defenders on, and we go 10 at the back. You know, but there, look how many Forest, like you say, they concede as many as they score in the last 15 minutes. Dave, thank you so much for coming on, mate. It
Absolute
was last minute.
I would wish you well. I'm going to wish you well in the rest of your lives, but can I leave out Monday, October the 3rd, if that's all right?
We'll give you that. We'll give you that.
And January 14th as well.
As I say, may the best team win. Bollocks. We want Leicester to win. But just give everybody a shout. Right. Where can they find you, Dave?
The thing is, lads, I haven't got a YouTube channel or anything, right? So when Mr. Dorr comes on or any of the others, they've got channels to advertise. I'm just a bloke who gets invited on, says his piece, loves football, really loves Nottingham Forest, and that's it. There's nothing special to me at all.
Well, it's lovely to have had you on. I have put your Twitter in the description below so people can follow you on Twitter for a bit of banter. But again, I would say the same good luck, but I wouldn't mean it. So but I haven't predicted you to go down. I'd got you finishing, I think, 15th or 16th. So I'm sure you'd take that, as indeed would we at the moment.
Mate, that would be like golden apples from a tree, manna from heaven, nectar. You know what I mean? That'd be like drinking milk from the breasts of a Nepalese maiden. That would be amazing.
On that thought, thanks very much. Take care, mate.
Lovely to speak to you, Jen.
And you guys. Thanks very much. Take care.
Bye.
Thanks so much for Dave for coming on. It was very last minute because me and Mr. Dorr had been confused, shall we say, over the date in the nicest possible way. Harry's just saying here, Iverson to start. Well, we're going to talk about that now because we're going to pick a team or try to pick a team, which we obviously know Brendan will not go anywhere like it. And we'll do that straight after this.
Matt Elliott here.
Hi, Alan Smith here.
Hey guys, Ian Hume here.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here.
Be sure to watch
Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV
for all the latest Leicester City news and information.
You can also subscribe on YouTube and various social media channels
for the latest updates and news on Leicester City Football Club.
Come on, you foxes!
Look at that. Organised or what?
Well, I'm impressed.
It's the first time that's ever worked, actually. What formation do you think we should go for, Craig?
4-4-2. Yeah, 4-4-2 with the diamond, if you can get that diamond in the middle.
Right. Well, I've got 2 4-4-2s. I've got that one. Or I've got that one.
Is there a difference between them?
No.
Other than the colours.
Well, they're about 2 millimeters further up the field in the middle.
Yeah.
What about a 4-3 something? Would that?
Yeah, I thought you had one. I thought you had one with a diamond in the middle, but it was like a 4-1-2-1-2 or whatever. But it doesn't matter. You know.
How about that? I want to give you what I can give you. How about that one?
Yeah, that'll do.
That'll do, right. Or I do have the B version of that, which is that.
Yeah, that'll do even better.
That'll do. Right, there we go. There we go, sir. Right, I mean, probably the most controversial and the... Do you stick with Ward or do you bring Everson in?
Personally, I think I'd go with Everson. Again, there was no confidence coming from Ward in terms of his kicking. It was scary at Spurs at times, to be honest. He made one fabulous save, but then other times, every time the ball came back to him, I wasn't confident at all. So Everson for me.
Right. That said, of course, he's not in my list of things. Let me just see if I have got it. IVER. Let me try this another way. IVERSEN. Oh, there we go. It says he's at Preston, but we'll take that. I see. I'm torn with this one. I'm not going to lie, because yes, I think we need to take Danny Ward out of the spotlight for a little bit, because I think he's the one mistake, the crowd will get on his back, like we've said, and the nerves then start jangling, don't they?
Yeah.
And he could. I'm a fan of Ward, as you well know, and I just wonder, could he do any worse? That's the question. And better, I suppose, that he'll bring. I mean, it is a big game, but then they all are at the moment.
Yeah,
he's probably better playing in this one than he would have been against Spurs, because that would have just killed him off before he'd even started, as they say. No place for Smithers at all. You wouldn't have him.
Well, I don't want to preempt whether I might play him out on pitch, so.
Sorry, mate. I've known I wouldn't have said it. Pretty very quickly before we move on, then, who's on the bench for you, Ward or Smithers?
Oh, Ward. You can't do somebody like that. And
no. I didn't know how far you were going to go with giving him the rest. No. Okay, so on the left of defence.
I'm going to go James Justin.
Yes, I would agree with that there. I mean, he can play either side. We know that, but that is his better side, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they both can play either side, can't they? So
but those are the sides. To me, if you're better on one side, then stick to that unless you're really desperate. So I'm guessing then at right back we're going for Timmy.
We are going for Timothy.
If I can learn to spell, always a help. There we go. I think I know the two you're going for as well in the middle. So on the left of the two centre backs.
So Vestergaard and Amati.
Good. I had no doubt that you. He's actually
Johnny
here
on the left
in the paper. I don't know if you saw it in the paper. Just said that as I say that I've lost him. Brendan Rodgers sets out Yannick Vestergaard role, as Dane points out, 18-month transfer pursuit. And we did go after him for quite a bit, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. I mean, again, it's the Leicester Mercury, twisting, not twisting words, but taking things that have been said, 3 or 4 months ago and just regurgitating them as if they're new.
I have to be honest with you. I should have known better than to quote that article and not read it, because and Jordan Blackwell, lovely guy. I've had him on the channel a couple of times. But he do, when you get the Leicester Mercury, what it says in the title is about throwaway comment 3/4 of the way down the article after about 5 adverts. So yes, I do.
I mean, they're charged with just getting clicks, aren't they? So that's what they do.
Yes, yeah. Sorry, did you say Evans there? Sorry,
Evans, Evans, and then I think the the new guy, Farce.
Right. Now then, how
WOUT for his first name.
Yes. FAES, isn't it?
Yeah.
There we go. Again, not at Leicester, but I'll take that. Now, I hope that I know who you're going to go for this central defensive midfield role.
This is a tricky one for me. This really is a tricky one, and I think I'm going to go with the newspaper story, and I'm going to drop Mendy in there.
That's what I was hoping you were going to say, sir. Again, I'm a big fan of Mendy.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's very underrated. Let's face it, he's the last Leicester City player to win a trophy.
Indeed.
He was left out for so long, and I didn't hear any external mumblings or grumblings. I think he's a better distributor than Ndidi. Ndidi.
I think he keeps the ball well. He's tidy. He's neat and tidy, and he keeps the ball in and gives it to better players than him. Yes. And at the moment, Ndidi again is in the same bracket as Ward for me. He's, everything's going to be, all eyes are going to be on him because we know his first touch isn't great, and when you're a team up against it, you can't afford to be giving the ball away there. So I think it's more a pair of safe hands back there with Mendy.
Indeed. No, I agree. And I love him to get the chance and love him to come on and do that well. And then hopefully Brendan goes, oh, he's doing all right for me. I'll stick with him rather than just bring the other guy back because I've given him a game off. But we know Brendan, don't we?
Yeah.
Okay, so on the left of the two central midfield roles.
Kiernan. Dewsbury Hall.
Let me just give the right one.
Obviously, we know, and anybody watching knows that this won't be the team because.
No, because we pick a team that could possibly get us something from the game. Yeah. Brendan, did I say that out loud? Now, I think we may have a disagreement coming here.
Okay.
Who are you going to go for on the right?
If he's fully fit, I would like to see Pratt start.
Yes. Oh, mate, you are with me today on this. I've got to be honest with you.
That's slightly worrying.
It is, isn't it? Let me just see. Here we go. Again, why isn't he if he's fit? Because he's shown he's got that. He wants to play for us.
Yeah, and he's got more. He's not as creative as Tielemans, but for me, he's got more of an engine at the moment, and we need that. We need that in this game because Forest still run and run.
Do you think Tielemans needs to be in a good team to perform well?
Potentially, I think it just shows you it doesn't matter how good you are. Confidence is everything, and I wouldn't say fair play to him. He's not gone shirking, through all of this. He may not have played as well, but then that happens in form and confidence, but he hasn't gone and hidden. He still wants to get on the ball and do things with it. So fair play to him. But I just think we need a bit more of an engine room.
Totally agree. And I would have Pratt there every day. I'm very impressed with. This is the team I would have picked. So, and Mendy and Pratt, I'm in complete agreement with you. Something's got to go wrong. I guess in that midfield role, central midfield role, it's James.
It is indeed. Well, we know that this will go wrong because there's no way that Brendan won't pick a team without Harvey Barnes in it. So,
well, again, though, again, the starting lineup with 5 subs, if we ever use 5 subs, and the team that ends the 90 odd minutes on the pitch, it's 2 different things.
Yeah,
and you've got to say, Kieran Dewsbury Hall again maybe off colour a little bit at the moment, but bringing Barnes on possibly as an impact sub.
Yeah, definitely, because I think you can't afford to start the game sluggishly. And as we've said, you know, I've said week in, week out, you know, Barnes just isn't intelligent enough to offer what is required of his position at the moment. So I'd rather us play a little bit more centrally and allow the fullbacks to give us the width, rather than having wingers who can just be marked out of a game.
Yeah. Mike's in. I think he's talking to you here, Craig. He says, "Evening, you legend." Sorry, I'm late. If you're talking legends, I mean, you've got to look no further than the man that invented windowsills. I mean, what a ledge! So I thought I heard a cricket then. Moving on swiftly.
I thought I'd just give that the air it needed to.
It needs more than air. It needs an oxygen mask. But you're welcome, Mike. Sorry that you came into that. But right. Now, two up front. Yes. Who are you going for on the left up front?
Daka.
Good man. God, are we spending too long together?
I know,
You know what they say about women when they work together, how certain things merge. Is that happening with us? I'm getting worried now. And of course, it's got to be Kelechi, hasn't it?
Yep, it is. I think we're better when we've got two up top. I think we look more dangerous when we've got two up top. And you've got to start creating a partnership. And you can't do that if one's in 1 week, one's out another week. You're mixing it up. These two together, I think. I was watching Daka's 4 goals last season against Spartak Moscow, I think it was, and you know, they work well together. You know, they seem to have a bit of a relationship already, and I think there's goals in both of them. So with them and Madison, and then you've got an engine room in behind them. Then I think that's it's a stronger unit than playing somebody like Barnes. I don't think this is the game for Barnes, to be honest.
No.
So no doubt he'll play.
Yeah. Geordie says, such a pain, Chris. Oh. And as I said, wow, obviously, but I gotta say, I saw right through it. Skill Sports is in as well. Good evening from Twitch. Don't forget, Leicester Till I Die on Twitch. If that is your preferred channel, you can find us on LTIDtv over there on the old Twitch. Follow us and I follow you back as soon as I can. To me, that is a winning team, you know. And I just feel sometimes like we are hitting our head against the brick wall because we know there won't be two up front. But like you said, the best partnerships up front are worked on. You know, they develop over time, not just throwing them together. And you know, we know he'll go back to one up front, don't we?
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if he didn't.
No. Is he gone if we lose?
I think he is. I not necessarily what I want. I really hope that we get a really good win and he turns it round. You know, I'd really like that. But I think, if we don't win, I think that's his number up.
I don't think, and I said this right at the start, I would never want my team to lose to get rid of a manager.
No.
But if we were to lose, surely, I mean, and I've just quickly wrote this down, and it's getting late, so I will let you go after this question. I thought he would have gone with those 2 weeks that we've had with the international break. Problem is, if he goes, then obviously you lose a lot of backroom staff as well, because they're all his backroom staff.
Yeah.
Whether you could say Brendan knows what he's doing with that would be another thing, but there's no natural person to come and stand in for him. But has Top spent those 2 weeks? And we thought, get Brendan out and you've got 2 weeks to pick somebody to come in. But has he been quite clever and saying, right, I'm going to sound out a few people so that if it does go wrong against Forest, he's gone Monday night, Wednesday morning, the new guy turns up at the training field.
I think that's part of it. I think Brendan's got some credit in the bank with him. You look at the games coming up, and I think he's I think Top will feel more justified in getting rid of Brendan. You know, after what he's done, you know, two top fives, FA Cup, I think he'll feel that he has more justification to do what needs to be done if we don't win against Forest. I think he's almost giving Brendan the rope to hang himself with, you know, if he can get it, because as we've said, these are 4 winnable games, or 4 games where you could see us getting 8 points, you know, which will put us in a much better place. And I think it's almost giving him that chance to prove that he can turn it around, that he's still got the players. I don't think one game is going to make that much difference whether he went before. I think he's putting everything in place to say, right, I've given you 2 weeks to work with these players. Not many of them have gone away.
Yeah.
You know, a couple of them went away and came back, you know, with miraculous injuries.
Yeah.
So I think he's being as kind as he can to Brendan and giving him this game.
I like you say, I think the rope hang himself is a very, very good analogy. And just as Mike's in, I will promise you this will be the last question. Newport in the cup. Do we just write that off and say if we lose it, it doesn't matter? We've got bigger fish to fry at the moment.
Well, I think so, but any defeat, you know, just piles on the pressure. You saw that against Stockport. You know, the fact that it'll be read as we needed. You know, we put out a strong team and we needed penalties to beat Stockport. It just adds to it. So I think he'd make a lot of changes for that. But either way, it's not the big thing, is it? At the moment, we need to get our league form back on track.
Craig, thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome.
As always, you talk a lot more sense than I do. Which is you can't speak less than me. Mike's getting his ticket tomorrow. Don't get lost on the way to Leicester, mate. And how are you going to get home? It's a late game, that. We may or may not see you next Wednesday.
Yeah, not sure at the moment. It's a little bit up in the air, but I'll confirm that as soon as I can, Chris.
Brilliant. If you do, you're up against our Jonathan the Newcastle block. So I'd feel confident if I was you. No disrespect, John, but thanks so much. You're there on Monday.
I'll be there.
You know, and I mean, as I always say, let's get behind the lads as much as we can. But lads, give us something to get behind.
No, I agree. Yeah,
you know, and I think that is a thing. Whistle goes for 90 minutes, then. You know, we will see. I think Brendan will obviously be. I think he'll take his sleeping bag, because I think if we lose, he'll be sleeping there overnight because he can't go out the ground.
To be honest, it's probably the best game we could have. You know, if this was against Bournemouth or Fulham or whatever, the fans wouldn't be up for it as much as they will be with it being against Forest. So I think everything's in place, you know, for us to get the win that we need.
Yeah. Turf said he's kipping at your house.
Cheers, mate.
You would, but he'll be charging him. You know that, Craig. You won't miss the opportunity. Enjoy yourself as much as you can on Monday. I look forward, whichever way it goes. If you're able to do the post-match video, I should be looking out for that with some with keenness, shall we say?
Yes, indeed.
Have a good weekend to you and all your family.
Cheers.
And like I say, be our lucky charm Monday night, mate.
I'll do my best. Cheers, everyone. Cheers, Chris. Cheers,
Take care. Thanks a lot, Craig. Thank you. Wise old owl. Like I say, he is the one that talks the sense in this partnership. And it's good night from him, and it will be good night from me in a second. Just got to remember. So you can't see what I can see, which is Craig in the green room. I was about to say doing Ronnie Barker there, but then I think that would sound very rude. Don't forget, you can catch us on our new radio station, Mixcloud, all one word, mixcloud.com/Leicester Till I Die Radio. We got it's a show a week at the moment, but we're seeing how it's going, and I'm still playing about. I've got some new equipment which I can't get to work, which is always great, and look forward to joining me there. If you haven't subscribed to this yet, please do press the subscribe button. If you have subscribed, please smash the likes button. And if you have been listening on podcast, please. Yeah, not a problem, mate. Cheers, Craig. Thank you. And if you have been listening on podcast, thank you for lending me your ears. I'll let you have them back now. We've worn them out. Don't forget, this is coming up just before the World Cup. Yep, Stan Boardman and Elton Wellesby. It's going to be a right scouse evening. One half of them is red, one half of them is a blue. You never guess from looking at that, will you? And we might just hear about some German aircraft as well. Methinks it isn't going out live. And if you ever know Stan Boardman, you'll know why it's not going out live. Thank you very much, guys. We're back tomorrow at 9 o'clock for question time. Join us then and get your questions in for the panel, and we will ask as many of them as we can in the time that we are allotted. Take care. Stay safe, guys. See you tomorrow at 9. All the best. Good night.
That's all, folks.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye and see you next time.
This week's episode has come to an end. But the fun doesn't have to stop here. If you have any questions, suggestions or feedback, head over right now to Twitter and Facebook and like, share and get involved. Join us next time.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
Leicester Till I